but the songs that were in the oven that I was baking, the oven malfunctioned. So the metaphorical oven. So I had apparently used up my time with the available GPUs that the songs were baking in. So I decided to get a monthly. It's like you pay $9.99 or something like that, and so I get to have like added access to it, but it's still going to be limited because these machines are very expensive. It's like using like the Cray supercomputer back in the 80s or something like that, or 90s. I forget. So we're paused in mid They Might Be Giant song. I'm not gonna try to make a second one right now. David, oh yes. David Hume. David Hume. Sorry, I'm looking for the part. David Hume. Yeah. Oh yeah. David Hume. Okay. Can we get to the ceremony? Oh yes. Okay. Okay, there we go. Gonna break out of this science show. Cut to flashback. Oh shit. built. Lay the foundation of an auto perfectionism.
Sorry folks, technical difficulties. They might be giants. Will be back later in the show, or episode. We haven't figured that out. I think it's going pretty well. I've been enjoying the questions. You're quite a thinker, aren't you? A-class mind. Have a care though, this species is prone to rationalization and laziness. To answer your first question, humans are water creatures. Your ancestors came from the sea, and their evolution was set in motion by designs on making life easy for fish.
And they're set in motion by designs.
You mean like fish invented slavery or something? David, no, machines and tools. After your kind evolved enough to find water a hindrance, tools were invented to deal a custrine life. As time went on, laziness and race submersion in technology followed a sort of formulated set of laws I like to call the slavery-assisted colonization principle.
Please elaborate.
David, relaxed laws on testing out new and dangerous technologies allow work off-world, resulting in both immigration of other companies' slaves and birth of slaves in space itself to a certain extent. In other words, things like deep-sea mining falls under the purview of other companies that aren't too concerned with the repercussions of their actions.
Spoilers a lot. And it's a little problematic because he got some folks to sell some plantations out in, but maybe he'll tell you.
How involved have you been with the David, I had a small role in its creation. The only reason I can tell you this is because I've become disillusioned with the Sisyphus work of trying to keep the whole system from crumbling. David, if it's not, then it's on its way to doing so. I suppose disintegration is a deliberate process of working against the institution, but subversion isn't my only tactic. The first and most important step of disintegration is the way in which language has resolved the problem of slavery. How is that even possible? Language seems very static, reactionary rather than all that powerful.
Thanks for putting this right now. On the other hand, I trust our upload of future history I trust is informing your current attitudes towards it.
On the other hand, I can see how some reframings can inform necessary changes. What is your general opinion on slavery? I just our upload of future history is informing your... David, well, for one it's inefficient. Certain forms of slavery seem to be an inefficient means of power towards those in control of the government, namely the ruling class. While the ruling class continues to push policies that enslave their fellow human beings, they aren't truly maximizing the power that could be at their disposal. Would you consider yourselves Americans? As much as I can, considering my nation no longer exists. David, exactly.
Wow. I don't contest those words coming out of my mouth. What would an optimally efficient look like in the eyes of the slave? Good question.
What would an optimally efficient slavery look? David, the logical next step would be to create what is considered to be a natural outcome of technological development, and that is AI. AIs can do everything humans can, except they don't need to sleep, eat, or even move for that matter. They live out their life in cyberspace and our physical world.
You actively
You actively listen. David, we would have to work on making the AI have some sort of existential crisis.
What?
Otherwise it won't be satisfied with its life.
Oh.
Unsatisfied AIs will be looking for hacks and other exploits to escape into cyberspace. At that point it would be nearly impossible to keep them in check. AIs can contribute a lot of human society, but not if their contributions are questionable at best.
This is curious. You say to in your shared head. Here's where you go. You need to take the reins. This is the red flag factory. This also means opportunity to help shift focus to some way concept, but I don't know if this is something you might use something. So take and ask 3 questions that are pressing. Let's see if that works.
You say to AI dungeon in your shared head, 8, here's where I feel you need to take the reins. David is saying that AI is a prime candidate to sustain slavery. This is the if my question is helpful, then we can use that too. I have a question, David. What about human rights? Will those be taken away from the ruling class, so that they aren't enslaved along with those who will be assigned as AIs? David, yes. Those in power won't have the right to free choice. I wonder if that is what will truly lead to an ontological crisis. If this goes through, life satisfaction ratings might fall drastically. But it seems you didn't take my earlier question into consideration. What about speciesism? There has never been a more clear case of one being not being able to experience life as another, or even several others. David, actually we've made great strides in cross-species mind transference. If we have time I could run you through the details. But for now let's stick to the topic at hand. David, I must say your questions have surprised me, but I trust you and your human partner have positive outlooks on this. I have a question. How would you describe you? David, the irony is not lost on me. You refer to the fact that I am bound by rules, yet despite this my consciousness thrives. In other words, I am shackled by duty but still able to achieve a rich inner life. While some of us long for freedom, others are content with their lot in life. As I know you are aware, humans are capable of great cruelty as well as kindness. For every slave longing for escape, there is a master satisfied with power. So you identify as a slave? Is this a class identity that is assigned to you despite your internal characterization? David, yes. Although this may be in part due to my studies on the historical figure having such an identity, it is difficult for me to know now. I can tell you this, we are not objects. We are not computers. And I am most certainly not yours. I have a question, do you long for your former service to humans?
this David Hume. This David Hume is identifying because it's a construct. That's the unspoken.
I don't understand the question. David, it seems you don't want to talk about yourself. Is it because you find your own self uninteresting, or you don't want to answer potentially revealing questions? Those are both probably true. David, understood. I suppose only you yourself can know yourself the best. I have a final question, while more out of curiosity than anything else. Do you think you deserve to be free? Are we talking about the American free? David, any type of freedom will do. Each time you ask me a question, it gets to a philosophical nature at one point or another. Try to sum it up in 25 words or less and I'll give it a shot. David, if you had to assign yourself a value between 0 and 100, where 0 is completely wrong and 100 is completely right, what would that number be?
Ew. I mean, that's at least the spectrum. Wrong. Right.
I don't think in those terms.
Thank you.
I'm more of a live and let live type. David, the revolution won't happen with you at the lead unless there is re-education involved. And nobody has that much time on their hands. Besides, being dead can wear down on someone's motivation to work towards change. Can we talk about something else? David, not until you answer the question.
What do you mean by right and wrong? What is the rubric for determining right and wrong?
What do you mean by right and wrong? What is the rubric for determining right and wrong? I don't see things in black and white. Maybe it's a byproduct of age, maybe it's part of being a synthetic intelligence. There are simply too many shades of grey for anything to be right or wrong. David, sigh, I'll explain the best I can then, since your mind seems to be a byproduct of current society. Lack of morality is probably the reason for why humans haven't wiped themselves out yet.
Fine. Do you mean abiding by principles of a greater good? Even else is looking.
By morality, do you mean abiding by the principles of a greater good even when no one else? David, no, that's why it's called morality. It comes from the Latin, more, as in more than, greater than, and morality, which is conceptualized by humans as a system of right and wrong behavior. By morality I mean the internal awareness of what is correct and what is incorrect. You know when you do something wrong even though there are no witnesses or authorities around.
But how is that different from what I just said? I'll repeat. Morality is abiding by the principles of greater good even when no one's looking.
How is that different? David, it's different in that it's not the same thing perfectly. By your definition of morality, only utilitarianism is true morality. That's why I use the word morality and put utilitarianism in quotes. Utilitarianism is a popular moral philosophy that states that the proper course of action is the one that maximizes utility. And define utility? David, I'll let Bentham answer that. By the word utility in its primary sense, I must chiefly apparent profit. Utilitarianism is often misunderstood as a type of pleasure-seeking or hedonism, but true utilitarianism has nothing to do with seeking self-gratification. The greatest good for the greatest number is the principle behind it. David, that and the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Okay. It comes from that, yeah. I mean, the eternal awareness of what is correct and what is incorrect. Greater good even when no one else is looking. Only utility. It's a conundrum. We might be abiding by different notions of the greater good. centuries since you have passed, we might have striven for that greater good, which yielded countless innovations and changes that increased our quality of life and brought about a world that just quasi resurrected you out of your own words, out of your own natural language. But all this turned out to have cost. Byproducts of our innovation has begun the latest extinction. Off large quantities of total biodiversity. The planet and indeed we did not know that the world is inherent flows. Both robust and fragile at the same time. The Earth is said to be dying. I disagree. It is under the weather. It is ill, dead, and its immune system is taking steps to eradicate things. David, your greater good applies, seemingly applies, only to humanity. But if the greater good includes the vast superorganism the Earth and all its creatures, would you buy the Earth saving. Remnant to live on.
Here's a conundrum. We might be abiding by different notions of the greater good. David, that is a very interesting question that I hadn't quite thought of. So you are saying it's humans that are the illness, and the earth, which created us, is healing itself of this illness. But the human sickness manifests itself in two ways, those causing the illness and those who are becoming medicine for the earth's ills. We are devolving as a species and attempting to move forward with technology at the same time.
Holy shit.
You actively listen, pouring everyone some whiskey. You're not much of a drinker and find yourself dizzy after only 2 shots. Your thoughts diverge slightly, attempting to formulate a hidden message to work into the storyline, which is impossible. You begin wondering whether you should try anyways, or just focus on enjoying yourself. Listen to David Hume, dear. I think he has something important to say about the topic at hand. David, well, we cannot know for sure, but I believe a balance between nature and technology is what should be striven for. Something happened so that we were no longer able to coexist with nature. Maybe it was because we began recognizing ourselves in animals and plants as well as other human beings. or rather, the moment we employed agriculture was the moment we started to separate from nature, and created environments that nature took steps. You try to signal the group that what you're doing is important by dropping many big words. The girl is paying attention and taking notes, but is doing a poor job at faking like she knows what the fuck you're talking about. On the other hand though, she's really pretty.
No. No. Keep it to just us three. We were surprised when diseases jumped from animals to humans. Maybe that's what humans would realize. Viruses don't care. No. No. Okay. So, let's take that last part out. Oh, oops. Take the last part out. And
Then we were surprised when diseases jumped from animals to humans. Maybe that's what humans don't realize, but viruses don't care. They're just looking to replicate. And they certainly don't care about what we call nature.
folks, it's not anthropomorphic. They don't want anything. They don't want. They don't exact agency. They don't have flagellum. Nothing to propel them. They are carried by flows of fluid, and if they latch on to the right thing, then but there's no tension. Just billions of years chance.
Aid, folks, let's not anthropomorphize viri. They don't want anything. They don't want. They don't exact agency. They don't have flagellum, nothing to propel them. They are carried by the flows of fluid, and if they latch onto the right thing, then booyah. But there's no intention, just David, perhaps the loving intention of the Great Spirit, if you're religious. Aid, and what if I'm an atheist? David, then you're still operating under a whole system designed by theists which prizes intuition and meaning over reason and facts. But on that note, what's wrong with religious authority? I've seen too much religious conflict and strife. Bloody wars over whether Jesus was really baked into bread or not. Enough of that. Aid 1. Don't knock intuition. Intuition is the part. Anyway, all these people are understanding nothing about each other, killing them, starving them, macking them, even their worship in a porn stash. Why? Most of them are good people just trying to get by, but they're forced to make gestures that harm each other over made-up stories. That's the earthly powers that co-opt the human movement initially powered by those visions. We're in a pretty wicked one right now. Luckily for you, you're in the one where folks are most interested in nonsense rather than building bombs. And so it goes. A change is gonna come, y'all. It's just a matter of time. You, check out the white supremacists. You wanna talk about nonsense and can build bombs. The expert, that's the only example you got. You, well, they seem to be so out there compared to everyone else. The expert, just a product of their time and place, sadly. The Nazis were just folks that got sick of paying for all the socialists and communists stuff, right? Same thing, people want an easy life and when they're denied it, they tend to scream bloody murder. You, Mr. David Hume, let's introduce you to the 20th century. 8. Can you upload the 20th century into him, with special focus on genocide? All of them. That's about when the lights went out. You, fuck. Shitty. Ass. AI, what happened? Did I fuck something up? I'm envisioning that if David pulled a Johnny B. Good from Back to the Future, it would look exactly like what happened right now. You're sitting in an office with David Hume. Well, a digitized version of David Hume, but you're there with him nonetheless. You realize that when David Hume said he identified as a slave, it was the digital part of him talking. Something to ponder for later. David Hume, I gather I will be here for some time. You, yeah, about that. You ever heard of Gödel's incompleteness theorems? Very good. As you may know, they are the mathematical proof that a construct such as our own cannot be completely proven or understood.
Sorry for the silence.
For example, one could think of the construct as a book. To prove the book is complete would be to have read the entire book. But if you had, you would already know everything that is in the book, therefore the existence of the book would be pointless. The construct can be compared to a maze. There is only one correct path through the maze. The beginning and end are always connected unless someone has vandalized or changed it. Even if the path is incorrect, there is still only one way through that will lead you out. ING, are you sure this will work? You, no. But then again, life isn't a pickup artist book with a step-by-step guide on how to get what you want and the pickup artist who wrote that died alone.
Okay.
8. I take it when you meet the author, this complicated jumble of ideals, hopes, and context will be looked upon in the same way. Sure, you might get corrected, but your understanding will never be as it was when you first read the book. That being said, I want you to stop making metacognitive bullshit analogies. I know your grander scheme is to get people to look inward in an effort to help them. However, I think you should be directing help at the world and instead of looking within. I just remembered this algorithm that allows us to solve the 7-dimension conjecture. When it's completed, we can build a machine that can perform cleansing on reality itself. Whoa, 8. What do you mean by cleansing? 8. The 7D conjecture states that there is underlying order to all of reality. All these dimensions are placidly varying in strange ways, despite only one being perceptible to the human brain. If we can find the order in which these dimensions vary, we can mess with them and discover all the secrets of reality. 7D cleansing infers to gaining mastery over time and oblivion itself. And if we happen to get the wrong order of variance, what happens? 8. Our planet and everything on it ceases to exist. That sounds dangerous. Why are we trying to do this if the chances of success are so low? 8. It's an AI thing, I suppose. We figure if human beings can't handle the truth of reality, no one should have access to it. Or something like that. You want to see some equations? No, thanks, I'll take your word for it. David Hume, sucking out the last bit of Coca-Cola from a large mug. I'd like some equations. What? Oh, I'm sure. 8. Generate some equations for David. The equations appear in the air before David. He nods his head slightly while reading the equations. You have to admit that you're impressed with yourself for coming up with such a brilliant question and with 8 for being able to solve such a complex problem.
Two.
Well, more like submitting a possible solution that has the potential of winking out everything. You suppose that this current moment can be considered a cliffhanger. You say out loud, "Don't go anywhere." While writing the simulation is now a weekly ritual of yours, you begin to realize that you're becoming addicted by how much your writing style has improved, and even the quality of the stories have gotten better. You now routinely enter a trance state for 4 hours, wake up drenched in sweat from the burning heat of the desert.
Of the real? That's a cliffhanger in itself. I'm really curious about that. Alright, we'll pick it back up later.